Welcome back and welcome to the class. If you haven't watched the intro video, I'm Tim Allen, your instructor for this course, FTVE 16. This is the history and culture of television, film, and new media. I like to start off this course, or at least the first week, going over some basic filmmaking terms so that when we read and hear about it, we know about the filmmaking terms. So in my video lectures, just so you're confident in them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read and show videos. So I will be sharing my screen. You'll see my face for a little bit, but then I'll be sharing my screen. We'll be looking at things specifically so you can follow along, as well as all of my lectures will contain information that is in and outside of the lectures. That means that you can watch this lecture and also go ahead and click on all the links. All the links I have that I'll share in this course will take you to YouTube, and then you can watch the content. Either we're going to watch it together in class, or I'll tell you to go ahead and then watch it outside of class. So if we don't get to all the links, that my point is I'll tell you, like, hey, we're going to be watching 15 PSAs. Let's watch the first 10, and then you can watch the other 5 and get your opinions on them. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to share my screen. Let's go ahead and say share. All right, now I am going to go ahead and get us into our first lecture, which is right here, which is our PSAs. But first, let's go into our filmmaking terms. Now, filmmaking terms are great. Television film students should absolutely know all of these terms. You may have heard of them before. You might be familiar. You might not be. But it's important to read these so that when I mention them or you hear them, you might be able to comprehend. Also, this is a great thing to note and know where it is, because in the future you could always come back and look at this. And I will tell you that some questions on the final will definitely come from knowing what these words are. So let's just go through. It's ranked in alphabetical order. You can see there's lots of options. We'll just talk through ones. An ad lib, which is from the Latin phrase ad libitum, in accordance with desire, is dialogue that actors make up as they go. So if you ad lib a line, it is a line that's not written. It's how the actor has interpreted it. It's not necessarily improv, which you might be improvised dialogue. It's more so like the actor is supposed to say, hey, you are a jerk. And they might have ad-libbed and changed it like, you are a dirt licking, dog killing jerk, like adding context. Those would be an ad-libbed line. Ambient sound or room tone, that's the general sounds, no matter how faint, that fill the background of a primary recorded sounds. Now, when we're recording sounds, we're recording voice usually, and or sound effects. Room tone or ambient sound is the noise of what your place sounds like. So if I'm quiet right now, and of course Zoom is going to filter this out, even if I'm quiet, you'll hear things in the background. Whoa. And that could be the air conditioning. The room tone could just be a fan, just a background noise, a microwave, someone chopping vegetables. All of those things can happen in the background. And what's important about ambient sound is we record this specifically because if we make edits, and if we get rid of all the background noise between edits, it's just silence. And when we listen to something and we want it to be as real as possible, it's never just pure silence. There's a hiss, there's a tone, there's something there, and that helps hide our edits and make the production better. All right. Next is the aperture or f-stop. This refers to a camera lens. The aperture is the measure of the width of the opening, allowing light to enter a camera. Larger apertures allow more light to enter the camera, hence darker scenes can be recorded. Conversely, smaller apertures allow light to enter, but have the advantage of creating a larger depth of field. Okay, so the best way to think of an aperture I always like to talk about is we're going to go and look at your eyeball, right? And we all know, if we've had our eye test, we might not know, but our pupils are the apertures of our eyes. And what does that mean? That means that they our iris gets bigger or smaller. And when it gets smaller, it is actually, if someone shines a flashlight in your eye, your pupils become like pinholes, right? Really, really tiny. And that's because it's condensing and not allowing a lot of light in. And also, when it's dark, our pupils get really big because they're trying to allow as much light as in as possible. So if your camera has a large iris, a larger number, it means it's letting more light in. It's probably darker. You need to open up your iris. And if it's um, uh, so an open iris actually has a low number. A closed iris actually has a high number. Just looking on the camera, this isn't a production class, but sign up and take one of our production classes. Great. It closes down your iris, so the light hits your eye, and your eye is actually adjusting. So a camera does that as well. And by depth of field, we mean that how you change your focus, the amount of focus, depending on how you use the iris. If you don't let in a lot of light, but then you'll get more out of focus stuff with your lenses. It's actually a cool thing that fun we'll have with the cinematography class. Aspect ratio, the images ratio relating to width and height. So a standard HD image is 1920 by 1080. It's a rectangle, kind of like the square that you're watching me in, or the rectangle that you're watching me in. Here's my phone. My phone is 16 by 9 right now, which means 16 is the length, 9 is the height. And that's a traditional movie or television. Now we live in the era of content and TikTok. So now we are a vertical video. Well, a vertical video is 9 by 16. So that means our 9 is right here and our 16 is up and down. For your videos that you turn in for me, I absolutely want them 16 by 9, not 9 by 16. And the aspect ratio always is proportional to 16 by 9. So if we go into 4K, it proportionally, it's something like 4160 to 2346 or something like that. I haven't looked it up specifically. I know I got those numbers wrong, but that's what 4K means. It's 4 times the image of HD as far as amount of pixels in there. All right. Backstory: the experiences of a main character taking place prior to the main action, which contribute to the character's motivations and reactions. The backstory is just, it might not even be shown in the movie, but it's what helped develop your character and help develop the actors might use it to help develop. All right. A beat, that's a pause or break in dialogue. So if it's like Tim is giving a lecture, beat, and now he starts talking a lecture again, that's a break in dialogue. It's when you write it. It's a screenwriting term. A best boy or the first assistant, male or female, or any person, to the key electrician or gaffer. That's the person on set who manages all the power on set, is the gaffer. The best boy is the position name for the assistant to this person. Blocking the scene, the process of arranging the active elements of a shot, including the choreographed movements in the relation to the camera. We are going to block the scene, which means we're going to set up where everything is, where the actions are going to be, and that helps us plan out shots and camera movements and what equipment we need. Blue or green screen, also known as chroma keying, a process in which objects are photographed against a special blue or green background. The background is eliminated, and a new background is added to the original. Think of special effects. You see them with green screen in the background. It's also called chroma key. A boom microphone, that's one of those microphones that you can see being held. The boom microphone's used to pick up voices of actors or other elements on a set. Microphone is suspended from a pole out of camera range. It's how you can When you watch a movie, you never see anybody wearing a microphone unless it's part of the plot, and that's what they're using boom or they're recording the voices after the case. CGI is computer generated images, a term denoting that computers will be used to generate the full images. If you have CGI in a scene, it means that something is added, maybe a character or a whole. Marvel has a lot of CGI in their films you might be familiar with. Character arc is the emotional process that a character has during a story. So their character arc is you start at point A, you adventure, you learn stuff, and then you end at point C. And B is what happens all the way. So think of it as an arc from start to finish. This is what my character was mean and didn't like anybody, and then learned the true meaning of friendship through the actions of saving the world. And at the end is a changed, better person for it. That's a traditional story arc or character arc. A close up or a CS is when the subject is a human. When the subject's a human body, the shot includes shoulders and head. So basically, if you see me in the little corner, I'm in a close up right now. So okay, I'll do my face. This is basically you can see my shoulders, you can see my head, and we'll talk about different framing when that. Um, a close up is the next one. Okay, so this is a close shot. This is a close up. A close up shot can also be MCU when the subject person frame, but it's with only the face. Okay, here we go. Now we're close up. Action right there. Okay. Continuity. Continuity is the principle of photography. A person is designated to keep the detailed record of each shot for continuity purposes. When in relations to editing, the method of cutting that visually leads to the viewer to accept the flow of an edited image's natural sequence of action and matching of movement. Continuity is really important because if we break continuity, it would be like, hey, in this shot, Tim is holding a mug, and then we cut, and now I'm holding in the wrong hand, or I'm holding a different mug entirely. And what that denotes, it allows the audience, A, not only do they make a mistake, but B, it breaks what's called the suspension of disbelief, and we remember that we're watching a movie rather than watching a story where if we're thinking about how they're filming the movie rather than thinking about the story, we've done something wrong. A crane or a jib shot is a shot taken from the camera mounted on a crane because of the elevated angle and mobility. The shot can give a dynamic overview of the subject. Crane shots or jib shots are cool, but really have been replaced by drone. Drone shots we can definitely get higher and have more mobility. We don't need a big giant crane on a camera. Basically, you put your camera on a pole, and depending on how you kind of seesaw it up. All right, cross-cutting is the editing technique of selecting shots, cutting back and forth between actions and taking place at one or more locations. This usually implies that the events are happening simultaneously, creating the sense of parallel action. So it would be me, then I would cross-cut to the person I'm talking to, then I would cut back. So even though we're not in the same shot together, the editing sequence makes it seem like we're talking to one another, even if we filmed the different shots days or months apart. In the world of the scene, the cross-cutting allows us to know that, hey, we're interacting with each other. A cutaway is a shot that's inserted into the continuing flow of the action, calls attention to itself for dynamic or informational impact. So if we do a cutaway, it would be like, hey, I'm telling you this, and then we cut to a person holding a knife and then come back to me. That's going to build tension because it's like, oh, there's a person with a knife coming towards Tim. What's going to happen? Well, guess what? I saw him, so I'm going to be safe because I'll jump out of the way. All right, dailies or rushes. These are kind of antiquated thing, but if someone says, hey, did you check the dailies? That means they're watching the footage shot from the day. Back in the day, this was something that was used in filmmaking land when they actually filmed on film. You would have to process and have the film. Everything they shot, they would do a rough print of it, and then those would be the dailies so they could see what they shot, because a lot of the time they'd be filming without monitors. So you hope the shot is good. You hope there wasn't anything bad in it. And you could watch the dailies and be like, yeah, everything looks great. Or, hey, we need to reshoot this thing. Can we reshoot it? Depth of field, we talked about this a little while up. This is the measure of range along the camera's line of sight in which an object is in focus. If you have a shallow depth of field, only a thin part of the frame is in focus. I have a web camera, and so I have a really wide depth of field. Everything is in focus from the stuff in the background to my face, but you could frame it so that just my nose is in focus. Everything else is blurred. That's a narrow depth of field. Diegetic sound. It's a sound that's created by something or someone visible on the screen, or whose source is implied by the presence of the action. Non-diegetic sounds are added sounds like music or voiceover sound effects. So diegetic sounds are something that happens, that is created by something or someone visible on the screen while the source is present in the action. So even voiceover dialogue would be non-diegetic. The director, that's the person who has the most complete control over the film, overseeing all aspects of the filmmaking. Director's kind of the boss on set. It doesn't mean that the director gets to make every decision, but on the set, if you're thinking of a film set like a battleship, they're definitely the captain. Okay, a dissolve. A dissolve is a type of edit that we use. It's the superimposition of a fade out or a fade in. The blending effect makes a smooth transition. So you slowly fade from one image to another. Sometimes it can even allow for images being transposed over one another. There's a dolly shot. This is a free moving shot that is achieved by fixing a camera on a specially designed cart or dolly. The advantage of this shot is fluid freedom as the camera moves. So it's like a smoothing, a really smooth glide shot. And a dolly is kind of just like what a dolly, if you've ever seen a dolly in person, it's basically four wheels with a platform, and your camera person stands on that with a tripod, and it gets kind of a smooth movement. You could also sit in a wheelchair and someone could push you, and that's technically a dolly as well. Some of the first improvised dolly shots were that way. An establishing shot is another framing exercise. Establishing shot is normally an extreme long shot that's used to orientate the viewer to a larger geography or dimension of a setting, giving what follows context. So establishing shot would be, if the whole drama takes place at the White House, our establishing shot would probably be the first shot that shows the exterior of the White House so that the audience knows that, hey, this is the White House. A lot of times in sitcoms and TVs, that the very first shot you see is the exterior of the house. Even though they're filming on a sound stage, Full House takes place in that house in San Francisco. Another framing one is an extreme close-up, or ECU. If you look at my little window right now, I'm going to make an ECU, which is, it's like nose and eyes right here. Okay, so an extreme close-up is a very tight shot of detail, often part of a human body which fills the screen. Eyes or mouths. Basically, if you just looked at the just one ECU, it wouldn't establish who it is. It would be just a close-up of the person. A fade, when the light is withdrawn slowly from a shot, becoming a dark field. This is a transitional shot called a fade out. When the light comes up, it's a fade in. So it's basically fade to black, or you could fade to any color, basically. Flashback or flash forward. This is an editorial time shift that interrupts the normal sequence of present storytelling. We're more familiar with this. Lost had a lot of flashbacks in it, flash forwards. That's a fun way to tell the story, is we find out something, then we see what happened in the past. Here's another job, focus puller. It's a member of the crew who adjusts the focus of the camera during filming, aka the camera assistant. Pulling focus is really hard. It's the person who has to manually turn the focal ring on the lens. And when you're doing a moving shot, it's absolutely necessary. Foley, that's the addition of sound to duplicate sounds not picked up in the original shooting of a film. Foley artist is in a special studio that applies sound while watching projected images. Typically, footsteps across the floor are added in this manner. Yeah, you don't record or hear footsteps there. If you crunch a piece of celery, it sounds like a broken bone. Also, anytime you hold a knife, you ever picked up a knife, like a butter knife? What sound does that make when you move it? It makes no sound. So in movies, we had the shink sound effect so that audiences know, oh, that's a knife. Oh, that's a knife. All right, frames per second or FPS. It's the rate of speed that the film passes through the camera projector. The modern standard being 24 frames per second, and in video, the standard was 30. We pretty much live in the 24 frames per second era now, but that's basically how many images you can see during the light per second. So video motion is a continuous number of still images put will weave together and being projected. That's how the simulation of motion happens. And so 24 is consistent with what works with the human eye. You go more, starts getting weird and feeling unnatural. You go less and things feel stuttery. Right. A freeze frame. I was just doing an impression of a freeze frame. Freeze frame is an image that appears unchanged on the screen because it's repeated in the print. Or when we freeze frame, we just freeze the single frame and no one moves. You jump in the air. It's the end of the Breakfast Club. You throw your fist in the air and freeze frame. A full shot, FS, it's the abbreviation for a full shot that shows the human figure from head to feet with some part of the body to give. So a full shot, you see the full me. I can't back up because I have my window right behind me. But the gaffer, which we talked about, is the chief electrician on the set. Lots of electricity on a film set because it lights. You need people to help move those around. Genre is the category, such as thriller, rom-com, action, noir. We all have our favorite genres. I think comedy might be my favorite, but I do like a good thriller. Grip. A grip is a person on the set who's a general purpose stagehand assigned to many the physical tasks on the set. So the grip will help move stuff or move equipment. Things are heavy on a film set, so you need a good grip to assist. A hook. Give them the hook. The hook is something that you can put into your screenplay that catches the audience's attention and keeps them interested in a story. So it's like Breaking Bad's hook was he's a school teacher who makes meth. That's an interesting hook. I want to watch that. Insert. It's a close-up of an object. The term came about when the shot was inserted into the final viewing of the movie during editing. Like an insert shot, again, we would insert to show, hey, there's a gun in the room. Or it's like, hey, I'm holding something when I'm holding it off screen. Put an insert shot in there so we know, so the audience knows what it is. Intercutting, the process of editing that integrates segments from separate scenes to indicate a dramatic association, also refers to the process of selecting individual shots to be inserted into a master shot. We are, when we're doing the editing process, we're intercutting. We can cut back and forth. We can jump in time. That's all intercutting. Key light. Key light is the subject's main light of illumination. This is a lighting term. Represents the dominant light source. There's usually 3 in 3-point lighting, which we'll probably talk about. The key is the dominant light source. So for me, my key light is up above me right now. It's the most amount of light, even though there's multiple lights in this room, including I am being illuminated from my laptop. Look, if I reduce the light on my laptop, I get darker, but if I turn it up, my face gets brighter. So that's a way to control your lighting. All right. A Longchamp LS. Abbreviation for a long shot that makes the primary subject appear less than half the size of the vertical dimension. So if I'm in the shot and I look really, really small, that's a long shot. But I have to be in the long shot. Establishing shot can be a long shot as well. Looping ADR, which is automatic dialogue replacement, or dubbing. It syncing dialogue by an actor on re-recording session while watching the existing image on a projected screen. Uh, you'll be surprised how often audio is dubbed. It's because sometimes we film in areas where getting good, clean sounding audio is impossible because there's machinery running. Tom Cruise is walking around a bunch of fighter jets with their engines on. The microphones aren't going to hear anything but those engines. So they're going to use ADR and re-record all his lines in studio and then mix it together to sound like he was actually out there talking. Sometimes the lips match, sometimes they don't. Depends how good they are. A master shot, usually a long shot taking a prolonged action. The intention is to cover the scene with a basic shot into other shots be introduced to enhance more specific drama. So a master shot is basically shooting the whole scene, and then you get your close-ups. Do you want to see a close-up of me crying, or in the master shot where you can't really see my face? If an actor's going to cry, go in the close-up, show their eyes. All right, a match cut. It's an editing technique that links two pieces of images of related action, resulting in a single smooth flow of imagery. 2001, A Space Odyssey, the spaceship and the bone are a great example of match cuts. Take a look. If you want in this week's discussion, and you have a really cool match cut that you love, share it. Share it. I'd love to see it. Medium shot. That's the abbreviation. MS is the abbreviation for medium shot. When the subject of the shot in the person is in the field of view, will include the knees or waist up for the head. So basically, knees up would be a medium shot. Mise en scène, this is French. It means placing the scene. It's borrowed from the stage, which the film refers to the physical arrangement and staging of actors and objects within the frame. It actually refers to what's in the frame. The mise en scène is the general mood, the set design, all of everything is intentional with filmmaking. So if you see something in the background, there was a choice to put it in there. So think about that when you're thinking about mise en scène. Montage is a series of cuts superimposed with one another, usually visually poetic. You can think of a training montage. Rocky gets better and better, but we see it's a huge passage of time, and there's usually music. Those are all montages. Now we have MOS, which is when we record and we're not recording sound, we're just recording video. It means recorded without sound. It comes from a German director who didn't want sound and told his crew meet out sound, and it got named MOS. OC is abbreviation usually found in the screenplay. It means for off camera, denoting that the speaker is within the scene, but we're not seeing them talking. So voiceover dialogue or maybe they show up. So we're speaking off camera and then they appear on camera. Or OS, which is for the abbreviation off screen. Again, in the screenplay, it's things that are happening that we're not showing the audience, but it's important for the reader or the viewer to know the context. The 180-degree rule, this is very important when you're filming with multiple cameras or multiple angles. The camera must stay on one side of the subject so the viewers will not get disoriented. We'll talk more about that in production, but it's really important to know. If someone says, hey, you broke 180, that means you messed up your shot. A panning shot, a shot that is made from a camera pivoting horizontally from a fixed axis, usually a tripod. So horizontally means left to right. So if you go left to right, that's panning. If you go up and down, that's tilting. And I'm sure I actually see tilting already. So tilting and panning are the two movements when your camera's on a tripod. But you can tilt if you're holding your camera like so. You could. This is me panning. This is me tilting. All right, persistence of vision. The split second after an image retained by the eye, which allows for the illusion of continuous motion. So uh, even though we're not capturing everything, our brains fill in the movement. So that's the precision of vision. POV stands for point of view. It's when the camera acts as a subject and we're seeing it through that character's eyes. Practical lighting comes from the filming technique where you actually just use lighting that's within the room. That's usually not the case because there's not enough lighting usually in most environments to get a good shot. But sometimes a guerrilla style independent film or it's just a style. We will use practical lighting, which means actually lit sources. I'm using practical lighting right now. I don't have a ring light on me. Maybe I need that, but I don't have that for me right now. A producer, the person financially responsible for the production. This could be the boss of the director. Producer has the ultimate say because they have the control of the money. In low, no budget filmmaking, like we do here at GAF, Grant or I act as the producers because we're making it happen. Um, reverse shot. It's a shot that reverses the field of view from the previous shot when photographing a conversation. Alternating shots usually are taken from different angles that roughly approximate the previous one. So it's basically if we did a reverse shot of me right now, we would see what's behind my laptop, which is my living room, and you would see all of my kids' stuff that they left out. Scene. Although it can entail only a single shot, a scene is normally a series of shots presenting a unified dramatic piece of action in one location. One location is a good way, but a scene, there could be multiple scenes, and usually scenes within a single time period. So it's like, oh, daytime, or oh, here's a new scene. It's more dramatic and it's nighttime, or we're going to a different location. Second unit is a small subordinate crew responsible for filming shots of less importance, such as inserts in crowds and scenery, etc. Sometimes when you have a production, you have access to multiple cameras, you can send your second unit out to go get, hey, all of the exterior shots are establishing shots. We're not going to make the director, and the crew will continue to work with the actors who are being paid extravagant amounts, but we'll have the second unit go get the shots that no one else is going to be in. A seg is a visual or sound. A segue is a visual or sound transition from one scene to another. So if we're using a segue where we can hear the sound bleed over to the next thing, or we're having it a visual cue that's like, hey, we're going from one to another. A shot, the shot's the basic unit of filmmaking. It's a continuous block of unedited footage from a single point of view. The shot is the most basic unit. Everything comes from putting shots together. A shooting script is the final screenplay ready to be shot with detailed shot selection. If you get into our screenwriting class, you'll learn all about the different styles of script. A slug line is the header that appears on the script that details the location, date, and time that the following actor is a candidate. So for a slug line for this would be lecture number 1, Tim's house, day, or actually it's night. You can see out my window, night. But that's how you read a screenplay. It lets everyone know where, and when everything is taking place. It's important for like scheduling. A spec script, it's a version of screenplay that's used to tell the story or sell the idea. So it's not going to have completely finished. It might be like 2-3 pages and tell the story. Split screen. It's when we see two things happening at the same time, and there's usually a line in between, a screen with different scenes taking place in 2 or more sections. The 2 sides are often interactive as the depiction of the 2 sides of a phone conversation. A Steadicam is a camera support system that facilitates smooth and flexible movement of a camera through a space by a single camera operator. Now the Steadicam is an arm and a vest that you wear. The camera goes on top. It's got springs and gears that help activate a gyro, which keeps the gimbal, which keeps the head fluid. This allows to kind of get similar dolly movements, but I could run and follow my subject and go spaces that a dolly could not go. Upstairs in an elevator. We film with a Steadicam. It is a lot of work. It's exhausting. If you want to join our production class, if you want to see a Steadicam, storyboards are series of drawings by an artist to help filmmakers visualize possible shot combinations, dramatic actions, and camera movements, similar to a comic strip. We'll take a look at some of those in the future. But what's really cool about our storyboards uh, are you don't have to be an artist. You can just draw stick figures, and it just you realistically, if you look at like Pixar, they storyboard their whole movie shot for shot for shot. So you could actually just draw every shot and then be like, hey, cameraman, we need this shot. And they know, like, okay, it's a wide shot and Nemo is going to swim over here. A straight cut, uh, a cut free from optical manipulation, simply one shot affixed to the following. So there's no fade. There's the transition is just a direct edit. A tag, a short scene at the end of the movie that usually provides some upbeat addition to the climax. Tag, is after credit scenes usually, which we're familiar with. And doesn't really uh, provide anything new for the context unless it's Sinners. But it's usually something that Marvel tags upcoming projects or a funny bit. 3-point lighting. This is lighting a subject with three sources of light: the key, which is the main light; the fill light, which fills the shadows; and the backlight, which is used to separate the subjects from the background. Again, 3-point lighting is really important. A tilting shot, I talked about this motion before. A tracking shot, not unlike a dolly shot in effect, but the camera is mounted on a wheeled platform designed to move on tracks, which are often laid down over an uneven surface to make the movement as smooth as possible. Tracking is definitely, you would use a dolly to do a tracking, but you can make it move left or right or forward or back. A treatment is a scene by scene. You can do that. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, of course. Thanks for asking. There will be a microwave noise in the background. Uh, thanks for asking. The tracking shot is not unlike a dolly shot in the. Oh, I already said that. Treatment, a scene by scene description of a screenplay minus the dialogue. The treatment's much bigger than a spec script. VO or voiceover is the stylus device of putting the narrator's voice over the picture, often used in classic storytelling mode or reveal the inner thoughts of the character. Yeah, voiceover. Tim's voiceover is like, oh, geez, I hope no one notices how loud my microwave is right now. But really, now I'm talking, except my lips wouldn't be moving. You would be hearing my inner thoughts. And a wipe is a horizontal cut that moves. Notably in Star Wars is a good way to see a wipe. Can go any direction, but it's like a hard line that wipes from one area to another. That's all the filmmaking terms we're going into. There's so much more. If you want to know any more, I really suggest joining one of our production courses. And we offer a lot during the semester. There's a single camera production, TV workshop, audio production, filmmaking, and cinematography. And if you have availability, either Mondays or Wednesdays or Thursdays and Fridays, reach out and I'll tell you. But I really recommend that. It would be really great for you to join. I'm going to stop the share so you can see me now for a little bit. So yeah. it into our PSA, which is a term that stands for public service announcements. The PSA of the uh, uh, all right, we're back. Wait, it's like technical issue. I think my internet went out, but we're good to go. We're talking about PSAs, and PSA is basically a public service announcement. Now, when TV first started back in the 1940s, 1950s, we there were only limited channels. We don't have unlimited content, unlimited channels. We carry around our TV with us everywhere. Um, but what the government thought, which controlled television, thought was a there should be PSAs, which are short messages that it was determined that was in the public interest, and they distributed them without charge with the object of raising awareness or changing people's attitudes and behaviors towards social issues. So basically, it's a short film or a short video. And sometimes it could be 15 seconds, could be up to 3 minutes. And the whole point of it is we know what commercials are, right? We see commercials everywhere we go. We watch ads on Instagram. We watch TikTok ads on Netflix. Even with our subscriptions, we get ads if we don't pay for no ads. And then sometimes you pay for no ads, and they still give you ads. Ads are how television's a free medium. For the most part, with a subscription based model now because they figured out how to monetize everything. But commercials, basically public services announcements air as commercials, but don't really advertise buying something. They advertise doing something for the good and saying, like, or not doing something. Like a PSA could be smoke. Don't smoke. Most PSAs tell you it's bad to smoke, don't smoke. Or when I remember when I was in college, there were ones about, hey, this guy smokes weed. Look at him, he's melted in the couch. You don't want to be like this guy. There were ad councils and spend money trying to tell people what to think. And public service announcements is can and definitely is some type of propaganda that is, for the most part, supposed to be for the general good and presenting ideas that are necessary. But because public airwaves, which television was public information, we have news, we have content, everything is paid for by the commercials that are advertised, and you don't have to pay anything. So the government and the organizations wanted to put out, and in fact, television stations used to be required to air a certain amount of educational content each year. So sometimes at late at night, they would put like their free informational thing. I worked at a TV station. We had to film the free show that would air once a week on Sundays, and for an hour. And it was basically about public issues. And that was the requirement that the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Committee, deemed necessary for uh, uh, the information being broadcast. So PSAs could, news stations would air PSAs because they counted towards this requirement that they had to do. So now that you know what it is, what's important, at least a public service announcement is a short video that tells us what to do, tells your viewer, do this, don't do this, and presents it in multiple different ways. But what your teacher is telling you to do is one of your two projects that you have to do is you have to create your own PSA. And basically, What you need to do is decide what topic you want to do your PSA on and uh, how to do it. Now, we all have our phones. I don't expect it to be great production value, but if you want to go real and make a really awesome PSA, great. Again, these are persuasive videos that tell you to either do or not do something. I think you can have fun with them. We're going to watch about 15 examples, and I will talk about each one and tell you like what it's doing and what's it saying and how it's affecting you. And then I want you to watch the PSAs and decide what your PSA is going to be about. And now I know you all are listening and being like, oh, I have to make a PSA. Well, if you look at the schedule, your PSAs are not due until March 1st. So you have a fair bit of time, a little over a month to be able to put this together. And hopefully, if you have any questions or comments about your PSA, join me on the optional Zoom and we can discuss. I'll show some examples from previous ones, but I'm going to share my screen now. We're going to watch some PSAs and talk about them. All right, let's start. All of these links are going to post and we'll take a look.
Doing drugs. Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
All right, this is your brain on drugs. Pretty classic film. I saw that 100 times when I was a kid. And yeah, Tim, I know I'm old. It was a long time ago. There was only like 6 stations, so we couldn't watch everything all at once, anytime we wanted. But what is this on this this is your brain on drugs PSA tell us to do or not to do? Well, it's very clearly telling us not to do drugs or else we'll fry our brains just like the egg. And what's interesting about this is it's all one single take. If you watch it again, there's no cuts. It's all just cracking the egg, frying it, showing you and asking if there's any questions. Also, the angle of which it's filmed, it's from a lower angle looking up. So that puts us, this is a POV like we talked about, point of view. We're the subject's looking into the camera, so it's breaking the fourth wall. The fourth wall is an imaginary line where when you're watching a movie, they don't look towards the camera. It's like you're watching as an observer. But if someone looks at the camera like I am, I'm speaking directly to you, the viewer. So if we're from the camera angle and they're looking in the camera, that means we're the person he's talking to. We're at a lower angle looking up, which puts us kind of in a child position. Children look up at adults. So it makes him an authority figure telling us what to do. So even the angle, so this is kind of a voice of authority telling us not to do something, to do or not to do something. So remember that as one way to convey a message is get an authority figure, which is a man who's shot from below, kind of gives him a dad vibe or a adult vibe, at least from where we're viewing it. That's the voice of authority. All right. All right, let me share the next one.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
All right, so that was a better America. What's fun or to think about? I don't know if fun's the right word, but what's notable about how they presented that is it's kind of they definitely use voiceover, right? We have a voice of narrator, and when we have a narrator that we don't see is not a subject of the piece, we call that voice of God narrator. So that kind of gives an important, if you have a voice that is telling you you should not pollute, you're going to listen to that, or at least that's the intention. And we watch kind of a short film where we see a native person, quote unquote, canoeing, and then it's implied that they respect the balance of nature, and then we see all of the bad pollution and everything that's happening, and we get I know it's a very blurry version, but we get the single tear coming down the native person's face. Now, what's notable too is this made in the 70s. There, of course, everything that we're going to watch in class, I will say asterisk. It's historical stuff, so it's going to be of a time and place, and I'll only show you things that I think are relevant historically. Doesn't mean everything is will not necessarily have a 2026 view of what's culturally accepted. So I say that in specifics to this video because specifically the man playing the native person is not a native person. So we'll encounter a lot of this stuff when we watch classic 70s, 80s television shows, and I'll definitely point out interesting things to warn. But this is valuable because this is one of the more famous PSAs that were out at the time, an anti-pollution one. All right, we're gonna go and we talked about smoking. Why don't we take a look at a big tobacco ad now?
I had my first cigarette when I was 13. When I found out how bad it was, I tried to quit. But I couldn't. They say nicotine isn't addictive. How can they say that?
All right. That one is more of an impactful one, I think. And what did they do? They broke the fourth wall. Subject looked at us. They also used shock value to convince us that smoking was bad. And we did that by watching a woman who smoked out of the tracheotomy hole in her throat. And then they revealed she died before the piece was even out. So that's a way to say that, hey, smoking will kill you. It's killed this person that is telling us the information. So she didn't come out and say, don't smoke. She said, I couldn't quit smoking. How could that not be bad? It's all how the story is told. It's not like, don't smoke because of this. It is telling a narrative story. And we're going to see more that are like really impressive, that like just they make the message. And what's interesting too is like at the end of all these pieces, they have fonts that come up and really clarify. We saw like, hey, call, Partnership for a Drug-Free America. We saw, hey, call and get this anti-pollution book. And now this one had text at the end that said, her born date and death date. And it's that just hits home like, hey, smoking does kill. It's killed this person that we just watched. All right. Let's take a look at the next one.
You should totally talk to Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Pretty impactful, right? And this one is just a short film, essentially. It's a short film. They don't look at us, they're not talking to us directly, but we watch this skit. So that's a way to tell it is show the actions. We actually have some magical elements, right? Like the world just doesn't freeze, but we have these two characters who are driving different cars talk to one another. We get the impact of the teenager, the impact of the mother, and then we see the actions after the unfrozen. And it's pretty clear that the point of this piece is not to text and drive. I like showing all of these different styles. Some are heavy, some we'll see are some are. You can do a comedy version, you can do a really heavy one. Just impact and intent. Which one of the ones that we've watched so far do you think you're going to remember longer? Those are always interesting ways of like how long it sticks with you. We'll go from a really serious one to a really silly one. So let's take a look at this.
Selfies are beautiful. Who hasn't been thrilled by the self-photographer? Those fabulous NARS artists who allow us to bask in the brightness of their shine. But these egotastic specimens of visual self-obsession are in danger. Danger caused by this. By moving the camera away from the central subject of the selfie, selfie sticks create the illusion that other objects, places, and even people exist. The curiosity generated by this new point of view leads our self-focused friends out into a much wider world, and that leads to disaster.
They used to be focused on just themselves, like how their hair was the bomb, or how adorbs their new shoes were. Just hashtagging, hashtagging, hashtagging. Now they realize they can take pictures that capture so much more. And I hate that.
Given their propensity to compare, compete, and outdo each other, selfie sticks in the hands of these vainglorious Van Goghs are growing in size, doubling and tripling in length.
Bigger parties means bigger selfies, which leads to bigger selfie sticks, which leads to bigger selfies, which leads to bigger parties and bigger pizza. This is 2 feet of pizza, man. It's better show up on Instagram.
When can we say enough is enough? If you know someone who is gracious enough to share themselves with the world wide web over and over and over again, share this video with them. After all, what would we do without your daily outfit updates, complete with duck-faced lips taken in your bathroom mirror? Please warn those you love about the dangers of selfie stick abuse.
All right, and then it's Russian at the end. Okay, I like to share that one because A, it's silly. What's the point of it? Well, it's a skit. It's a parody of a PSA. It's actually a Pizza Hut commercial, right? They're trying to make fun of PSAs. And my point in showing this one is it's a lot less serious. We watched a lot of serious ones, but you can have fun with your PSA. I've had students do a whole bunch of things like don't run with a knife, and then or don't let clowns hang out in your backyard. We'll watch a lot of examples of our PSAs on the optional Zoom if you decide to join. But um, yeah, that one's a fun one. We're gonna watch probably about five more, and then I'll have you watch the rest of them. But just think about how the storytelling. That one was definitely a skit or a narrative, so it's designed to be silly or goofy. All right, let's look at the next one. I'm going to go ahead and show you. Let's go back to a bummer one, huh? All right, that was an intense one. And I like to show this one again. Some of these PSAs I'm showing you are from good 10, 20, 30 years old. So maybe the messaging could be old. And I don't know if necessarily on the concept of suicide, what this one advises is something that we would think about now. There might be other ways. Or advice, but definitely its message is impactful, and there's zero dialogue in that one, dialogueless PSA there. So that's something if you don't We can, when we're creating our PSAs, we could film something, and then how do they convey the message? Well, through images and a powerful song. We see the empty seats, and then fonts come up, and the fonts you read, and you find out what the piece is about, and it's impactful when the teenagers sit down and look at us, look into the camera, break the fourth wall, and convey the message. Public services announcements are propaganda, because it's all content is some type of propaganda that we are trying to. Propaganda is the idea of messaging that tries to put out a message to someone, and most content that is out there has some sway or is trying to get you to do something, whether it's just drink Coca-Cola or buy a product, or this one is like trying to raise awareness for suicide. And what's great about this is it has what's called a call to action. And the call to action is at the end of the piece, it tells us what to do. It could just tell us hey, watch out for suicide, but this one actually gave us a list of things to look out for, the signs, and also for more information, come to this website or call this number. Those are call to actions, just like a commercial has a call to action where it's are your toilets dirty? Well, buy these scrubbing bubbles. That's the call to action. These PSAs are hey, smoking's bad. Come to this website if you want to learn more. Or some of them, the call to action is just to raise awareness. Some of them are, we want you to do something, or act now. And that's always something you should look at when consuming media and thinking about what does the creator want me to do or know about. All right, we're going to watch a couple more, and then I'm not showing you all on the list, so I definitely want you all to go and watch all of them on the list. This one is super cute and I like it. So
oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad
One more
today.
Time. All those boys are much too much. Those boys.
All right. Old piece, take time to be a dad. But it's a super cute piece. It does kind of a reversal. We don't know what's going on, why this person is doing cheerleading, and then we find out halfway through, oh, he's doing it with his daughter. And then the call to action, we even have a voice of God narrator in this one, who's take some time to be a father. And then we have a call to action, which is, here's the website, come to fatherhood.gov and be a father. Yeah, interesting. But it's super cute and it's effective. It's if you want your PSA to be really grabbing, there's some confusion in the beginning, and then you realize, oh, this is what this is about. Let's watch a couple more. I really like this one too. I'm going to go ahead and let's go with this one. Here we go. Let me share this. And I'm going to share. There we go. Two more. This one and then one more.
เขาจะได้อะไรถ้าเขาทำแบบนี้ทุกวัน เขาจะไม่ได้อะไรเลยไม่ได้รวยขึ้นไม่ได้ออกทีวีไม่มีใครรู้จักไม่ได้มีชื่อเสียงที่มากขึ้นเพราะสิ่งที่เขาได้คือได้แค่ความรู้สึกได้เห็นความสุขได้เข้าใจได้ความรักได้ในสิ่งที่เงินซื้อไม่ได้ได้โลกที่สวยงามกว่าเดิมในชีวิตคุณอะไรคือสิ่งที่คุณต้องการมากที่สุด
ไทยประกันชีวิตเชื่อในความดี
All right, that one is really touching and kind of just advertises being a good person. And then, the twist at the end is that is a commercial. That one's not a PSA at all. That's kind of a Thai commercial for insurance. That's just saying that is doing pretty much disguising itself as a PSA and saying like, hey, you should just be a better person because you'll have a better life. You know what he's not famous, he's not rich, but what he receives is emotions. So buy our insurance, right? Like that's a really interesting one that I always think is fun to watch and to see the emotions. It's kind of a touching story. And I'm really interested in hearing what all of you think about that one. All right. I'm going to do this last one, and then I want you to go and watch all of the rest of them and tell me of the ones I didn't show, which ones you like in the discussions, and what you think you might do. But let's check out this one, which is, I think, super interesting.
This is a story about Coleman Sweeney. Coleman, in short, was an asshole. Everyone in his small town knew it. It wasn't that he tried particularly hard to be unpleasant. It just seemed to come naturally to him. Coleman felt like the whole world owed him something, which caused him to regularly ignore the rules of a decent, acceptable society.
Wow. Really?
And he hated anything that got in his way.
Go, you got it! You got it, go! Go, go, you can do it!
And small animals. Even to children, he was an asshole. He was, as they say, born to it. But then, the strangest thing happened.
$3.
Something entirely unexpected. Coleman Sweeney died. A brain aneurysm. Well, subarachnoid hemorrhage to be more specific. And it came as he argued over whether extra fries should be included in a $1.99 early bird breakfast, which was a typical Coleman Sweeney play. It was then that Sarah found something completely unexpected. Coleman Sweeney had registered to be an organ donor. Nobody knew what caused Coleman to do it, but there it was, generous and majestic. And that was the day that Coleman went from asshole to hero. You see, his liver went to Stan, a father of two. His heart went to Miranda Morgan,
Who here has been to this?
who went on to teach for 25 more years. And his tendons went to Staff Sergeant Donahue, who was able to walk again and would never need to be pushed across the street by his physical therapist. And in a moment of small world irony, his corneas went to his 82-year-old next-door neighbor so that she could finally see the crap that her dog made in the side yard. And pick it up. Yes, in life, Coleman was a bona fide asshole. 365 days a year, 24/7.
Hey, baby!
But in death, well, let's just raise our middle fingers and shout, "Up yours, Coleman Sweeney. You're not an asshole anymore."
Fix you.
Even an asshole can save a life. That one's powerful. And what's interesting too is that's a highly produced, highly filmed short film, essentially, even with celebrities. If we noticed, Will Arnett, the voice of Lego Batman, and multiple TV shows, and he's on the podcast Smartless, is the voice of God in that one. Coleman Sweeney's a noted actor. And it's effective. It's in storytelling, and it's kind of that reversal. So I really want you to think about where in society you see modern day PSAs. We live in influencer culture, right? So we are constantly learning about life hacks or things you didn't know or things you must not know. And there's PSAs all around us on TikTok and on content. In the discussion, tell me, where do you see PSAs? Have you seen any recent PSAs? And why do you think PSAs are important for modern culture or society in general? Why are we always trying to tell one another what to do or what not to do? Super interesting stuff. I want you to think about that. Go ahead, watch the rest of the PSAs. Make sure you check them all out. And again, if you can join me on Wednesday at 6 p.m. For the optional Zoom, or watch the recording. I'll put that up as well, just in case. Okay. Happy learning. Bye.